Hi, this is Denise Sanyurt. I work as a commercial real estate investment advisor. Welcome to my Location Advisor Facebook page live event. Before we start, let's first discuss house rules. We are going to live post this event at my Location Advisor Facebook page and Zoom platform. Event will take around 30 minutes. Feel free to post your questions at the comment section under this post or share them through chat at Zoom. At the end of the presentation, we will do our best to respond all of your questions. If we cannot, please leave your contact details. We will respond them after the event. Let's start. Today, we are going to talk about settlement process changes during COVID-19. Charles HUANG has kindly agreed to join us today to discuss the changes introduced to settlement process as a response to pandemic. Charles works for Mid-Atlantic Settlement Services Company as an attorney. He has a law degree from American University and Bachelor of Arts degree from University of California, Berkeley. For those of us in real estate business, we know how important is working with a reliable title company in successful closing and avoiding for future headaches. You would like to work with someone you can rely on and accessible when things get rough. I work with Charles on many deals, including closing on my own house this last year, in fact. I am very happy with the services and my experience with Charles, so I decided to share my connection with you because he's such a valuable resource in my transactions. Charles, welcome to my Location Advisor Facebook Live meeting.
Thanks for having me, Denise.
So, Charles, before reaching out to you, I consulted with some of my clients, and they have some questions. And I wanted to ask those questions to you, and I hope you can help us understand and answer some of those. My first question. We are going through very tough, unprecedented times. The world we know has changed completely, actually, since the pandemic started. Have you ever experienced anything like that before?
So I think that's a tough question. I think maybe the closest comparison is probably 9/11. That sort of made everyone think differently about their ordinary lives. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles. I didn't really live anywhere near where those events occurred, but still that made me sort of think differently. And I feel like, yeah, my everyday routine life
has changed, right?
With this, absolutely. I think much more so.
Yeah. So we have to get creative, and we find different solutions to our, to do business. And I observe you through media, through through our meetings. You are very creative. I mean, your company is very creative to come up with some solutions. So how do you connect with your clients? Because title business, settlement, it's very risky, and you have to make sure that you're working with the right, correct people. You have to verify them, go through all the information. It's a very diligent and legal work. So how do you work with them? How do you connect with your clients now?
So a lot of times right now, a lot of things that we do is we have to do sort of verbal verifications whenever we work with somebody over email. So either we'll rely on a telephone number that the agent has. Odds are the agent has already spoken with the person, met with them at some point. So there's some veracity there. So we'll connect with them by phone call and then just sort of make sure that they know that we're working with them. A lot of things are also like password protection too. So in our phone call with them, we'll ask them to come up with a password. Sometimes it's like their favorite sports team or something like that, right? So that way they know that any communications that we send to them are from us. So that's primarily how we've been connecting. A lot of the settlement process still sort of being done in person. So we sort of just have to figure out policies to keep everyone safe, a lot of social distancing, and just sort of having like cleaning equipment and things like that on hand so that everyone feels safe.
Yeah. So my next question, how does COVID-19 affect settlement process? Will it make it easier or difficult? What were the challenges?
Yeah, so it feels like each deal takes a little bit more time because everyone's going to ask the question of how does the coronavirus affect my closing, right? So for the most part, there are two things that we were already doing before coronavirus that we're still doing, which is either they come to our office and do closings in person, or we go to their home and do a closing in person. The difference with going to their home and closing in person now is now we don't go inside. We just give them the documents. They take the documents inside. And if they have like a window or they have a window pane or a glass door, we just kind of watch them sign the documents through that glass door.
Wow.
And when they're done, they just pass it back and then we take it and leave. Because a lot of real estate closings still require notarization.
True.
So that's why there's still sort of this in-person aspect to real estate settlements. And so that's meeting.
Since this started, I have done signing documents in parking lots.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, parking lots.
Over my car.
Yes.
It's really challenging, you know, especially when the heat is on, you know, now it is summer, you're outside trying to explain things to your client, and they are very legal. So, but our clients were very patient, very understanding, you know, they were trying to make it work. So we come up with some solutions. So.
Yeah, I think everyone has sort of accepted that no one can really control this, so it's no one's fault, really. Yeah, I had a funny closing where I have a picnic table that's built into my car. And so I pulled out the picnic table, I had foldable chairs, and we just did the closing of the driveway.
I would love to see that picture. You should take a picture of that.
Yeah, I think the agent, I believe, did. Yeah, I'll have to ask him for it.
Oh, that's a really nice memorial. I mean, something to remember. We are going through interesting times. So my next question is, I know at some point courthouses were closed, and how did you do the title search? Like, should we expect delays in those title searches now? So what is going on?
So courthouses have closed to the public in a sense that if you had to go in to like file something, the courthouses were closed in sort of that regards. But for maybe the last couple of years now, title searches were mostly done online. So courthouses have a lot of those land records available online. Depending on which jurisdiction you're in, it's free to the public. Anyone can go online and look it up. State of Virginia, most of them are behind a paywall, which means that you have to subscribe, get an account with the local county that your property is located in. And in Maryland and DC, those are open to the public. So you can look up those land records online free of charge. There are some charges for like downloading documents, but if you want to just look at them, you could. So yeah, for the most part, we were able to log in and just continue on as regular with the title searches. Sometimes we would have delays because some documents have to be sort of reviewed in person. And for those documents that cannot be reviewed in person, we sort of just have to make a note before we get to closing that because of the coronavirus, we can check those if these specific documents were part of it. But those documents were very, very nominal. So not every transaction was going to be affected by it.
So that actually leads to like importance of the title insurance in those cases. I mean, I know you guys do a lot of research and make sure that everything's in right. A title insurance is very important to have when you're buying a property to make sure that you're protected, right?
Right. Yeah, lawyers, if you ever talk to a lawyer, and you ask them about the bar exam, the test that lawyers have to take to become a lawyer, there's this one kind of concept in real estate law that's called race notice statutes, and basically what that means is that the first person to get something into the courthouse and get it recorded, that takes precedence over anybody else. So like, if you have a seller who's like a bad person, right? He sells the property to two people, right? The first person to get the document to the courthouse, they become the owner, even if two people, right? And so for our title companies, what we do is we do something called a bring to date right before closing, which is we'll go take a look at the title records just one more time to make sure that, you know, something like this didn't happen, that the seller didn't sell the property to somebody else in the meantime.
Wow.
You know, so that's sort of an example of something that if the courthouses are closed and, you know, the online records aren't updated right away, that's something that we wouldn't necessarily be able to catch if the courthouses like closed in full.
I know. I mean, we normally you wouldn't expect, but sometimes something not exactly the same, but something like this happened to me. One time, this restaurant, somebody from a restaurant reached out to me. He claims he's the owner and he wants to sell the restaurant. And then, but something was shaky, and I kind of did some more research. He didn't expect that kind of research, I guess. I found out that he's not the owner, actually. He's just working for the restaurant. So you can be more careful. You have to be always, you know, you have to do the research. We say that trust is good, but control is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, double checking that kind of information is extremely important.
Definitely. So that's why, you know, the title companies, that's why it is important to work with a diligent title company. So should we expect any delays in title searches? From the way you explain, I don't think there is any delays expected, right? Because of the title search.
So far, I haven't really experienced any delays. I think the delays are more from like the volume than it is because of the coronavirus. So I'm sure most of your viewers are aware that like refinancing right now is very popular
Yes.
with a lower interest rate. So yeah, it's sort of the volume of having all of that plus all the transactions. That's really been what's causing delays in sort of the title searches being done. Not so much the coronavirus sort of like closing things down.
Okay, that's good. That's good news. Okay, is there any new forms introduced to respond to potential delays because of the coronavirus?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of, as far as like the sales contract addendums are concerned, a lot of different brokerages are sort of putting out sort of their COVID-19 addendums, and so are the so's like the Association of Realtors in the area. And yeah, I think a lot of them they all have merit, and they're all trying to sort of get ahead of the problem, right? Because one of the things that is sort of uncontrollable is, you know, with real estate transactions, it's not just the buyer and the seller usually. There's a lot of different parties involved. You have appraisers, mortgage companies, inspectors,
everybody.
Generally,
You're bringing all team together to get a deal done. I mean, a lot of clients, they just see the end product, but at the back end, realtors, title companies, lenders, inspectors, appraisers, we all work together as a team to make that one single point happen without any problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of these addendums just sort of address that, you know, we're assuming that everything will work out well, but if it doesn't work out, we'll all either mutually agree to move the closing date further. And I think that this is just a good addendum to have because, yeah, I think that brings up the conversation with a lot of clients that, you know,
just makes it
better to have this
reality check, like,
exactly.
Because it happened to me one time. I mean, recently actually, one of the clients, he's just pushing and pushing, and I said, look, this is the offer we put you, you know, this is the offer we are making just because, you know, those timelines, taking into account the potential delays. it's not because of us. We are willing to close earlier, but there are some things we can't control. So
Right.
we have to take that into account.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a reality check to
Right.
introduce that form or just bring it as a discussion point. So my next question, due to quarantine process, we couldn't meet in person. You kind of talk about it a little bit, but what type of solutions you offer for those that cannot meet with you in person to sign documents? I know, I mean, yeah, I mean, I know that you're very creative. That's why I wanted to ask this question to you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the two sort of solutions that we usually defer to, the first one's sort of been around for a while. It's just a power of attorney.
Mhm,
So if the person that needs to sign the documents, they're unable to sign, they can just appoint someone else to sign the documents for them.
mhm,
That still needs to be notarized. So at some point, someone has to physically see the person, notarize the document, and get them to sign it, right? Um, so some people have been using that. The other thing that technology has sort of allowed us to do is electronic notarization.
mhm,
And basically, electronic notarization is similar to what we're doing now. It's like a Zoom meeting,
mhm.
DocuSign. So it's like
Okay.
it's a Zoom meeting, but I'm watching you as you DocuSign a document.
Hmm.
Okay? So that's what it's sort of a basic explanation of what DocuSign or electronic notarization is. And yeah, so this technology has been around for about 3 years,
Mhm,
but really because of the coronavirus, like we've been doing it a lot more now,
mhm.
and people are sort of more open to it. So as an example, right, like maybe in the last 3 years, I probably only have done like 15 of them. And I think in the last 3 months, I've probably done like 50 of them,
Wow.
right? So a lot more people are using it. And I think that it's because of two things. Like local jurisdictions are allowing it because before, like your courthouses sometimes disputed the legality of doing this, even
Mhm,
though the law for this has been around for a long time. Courthouses themselves were very reluctant to accept electronically notarized documents. So Virginia, for example, has accepted electronically notarized documents for some time. DC and Maryland did not. But it was only until this coronavirus thing occurred that the Secretary of State for each of those jurisdictions said, for the time being, accept these documents as binding, right? Or as legal. And so we've been able to do recordings for those two jurisdictions with electronically notarized documents.
mhm,
So yeah, that and private institutions are opening up to that as well. So if you have a mortgage company involved in a real estate transaction, your mortgage company also has a lot of roles too, and
mhm,
those roles can apply to whether or not they want the seller to sign electronically notarized documents.
mhm,
Now, some of them will say no, and some of them will say yes, but during this time period, a lot more of them have said yes.
mhm.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's kind of difficult. I know myself, I do transactions, I go out, meet with my clients, but I'm always very careful with the distance. And I
Mhm.
try not to go if I cannot. I mean, if I can.
Right.
Um, Now, for instance, we do a lot of Zoom meetings with my clients. In fact, it made it more efficient for both of us because before what we were doing, we were making the time, you know, putting it in our calendar
Yeah.
and then putting up our clothes and driving all the way
Yeah.
down to the meeting room. Yes, in-person meeting is important.
Mhm.
It gives you a sense that if you can trust that person or not, or just it's totally different.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, connecting through Zoom and talking kind of helps. You have to find a way to communicate. And
Right.
I definitely prefer, at least I'm glad that we have at least Zoom or some other means to communicate face to face.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In many ways, I feel like it's more secure in a sense that, like, yes, like this is, Zoom meetings are recorded, so it's like if you ever go to court and like dispute, like the
Exactly.
person sign it, it's like yes, I have a video of this person doing it, right?
Exactly. I mean, you have a recording of it. If you do it on in person, I mean, you don't you unless you're holding a camera, you don't have the recording of that. You're just
Mhm.
swearing that you've seen it.
Right.
I don't know which one is better, but I don't mind having a virtual Zoom notarization. So my next question, is there anything else we can share with our audience that they should be careful about during settlement? Um, is, uh, I don't know, it could be relevant to the COVID-19 pandemic process or not related to it, just relevant to settlement process. Especially, I know that the first-time buyers, they're not well educated in the process.
Sure.
We handhold them, kind of educate
Yeah.
them, teach them. So do you have any advice for those?
Yeah, I mean, so I think having the closing disclosure now, which was adopted in the last couple of years, right? I think that makes the process a lot more simpler for clients to understand. My sort of suggestion, if there is one, is just make sure that before you get to closing, like you have a good understanding of what the closing disclosure talks about, especially the first 3 pages, right? First 3 pages go over what are the borrower's sort of interest rate, how much they're going to be paying to a mortgage company each month, and how much they're going to bring to closing. And the second and third pages sort of tell the borrower, like, this is what you're paying for, like your taxes, your title company fees, any mortgage fees, things like that. So that I think helps people know what to expect when they get to closing. Because what I tell people whenever they come to closing for me is, you're not really making any decisions here at this point. The only decision is, do you want a hard copy or do you want it on a flash drive?
Exactly. At that point, you have to have the information.
Yeah.
I remember when I was purchasing this home, it was a while ago, and I was asking the, title company and the, lender, give me the information, how much I'm going to bring it to the table. And they were like, okay, we're going to get to you. But this was before that requirement, disclosure requirement. And I'm kind of a person, I want to see it before so that I don't get panic at the end. I don't, they were like pushing me, see it at the end, like same day I'm signing it. That was scary.
Yeah.
And so finally, I'm very persistent. I ask questions. They gave me the information. But I'm glad for that disclosure. It helps my clients. It helps me to explain it to my client. It makes the process easier and smooth for everybody. You don't get any drama at that table.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not what you want when you get to closing. Like you just want people to sort of, to enjoy the moment that they're purchasing a house, right?
Yeah, it's the time for the pictures, the signing, getting happy. It's a good time you don't want to spoil that time with, it's, in my transactions, I always say that more information is always better.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
helps you educate and get ready. Yeah. So one last question. How do you see the market now? I mean, do you get, you already told that you get more refinancing, but do you see any increase in the new sales? Or how is the market now in your mind? I mean, I'm not asking you to talk about everything. I'm just asking, how do you feel now? I mean, is it coming back?
Yeah, I think in the last 2 weeks, I've definitely seen more transactions, like sales transactions getting ratified. And I've seen the refinances slow down. So, I mean, the refinance market, I think, really started like maybe, around January, February of this year. And at this point, I think I've seen that sort of slow down at that point because probably everyone who's wanted to refinance has already done that.
Yeah.
But, I've seen recently in the last 2 weeks, definitely a lot more sales transactions getting ratified.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear,
Yeah.
because we rely on that kind of activity, and and U.S. economy actually relies on the real estate. It's very important because when you sell a home or commercial property, it involves, it's not just the sale of that property, it involves everybody, a lot of people and their families. Like title companies, insurance companies, lenders, real estate agents, people fixing carpets, walls, painters, construction companies, roof fixers, everybody makes money out of it. So
Right.
we need a healthy real estate market to survive and continue.
Right.
And, the government also took really good measures to make sure that we have that market and, and continue to have it. So let me see if we have any questions. Let me see under the thing. No, I don't have any questions, not on the Facebook, maybe over here. Maybe I don't see any questions. Sometimes people send questions later, so if I have them, I'll share with you. So is there anything else you would like to share with us? Do you want to add anything, Charles?
I think the most important thing is just to stay positive during this time period. I think that with the whole phase 1 and phase 2 thing sort of happening now in different parts of the country, people are beginning to open up more about going out to open houses and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think sort of the worst part of this coronavirus is hopefully over, but we'll see.
Yeah. So with this note, I would like to close our meeting. Thank you, Charles, for joining us today and providing this valuable information. Thank you all joining us as well. If you need any help in a real estate purchase or sale or valuation of a property, you can give me a call. My phone number 571-271-6604. Or check out my website at MYLOCATIONADVISOR.com. If you would like to reach to Charles directly, I'm giving your cell phone, Charles. You may reach him at 571-585-8651. 571-585-8651. As I said, I work with Charles on many occasions, including closing of my own house. We got refinanced as the other part of other financing group, refinancing group. He's very professional, knowledgeable, and very accessible. Consider consulting with him if you are buying or selling a real estate property. He is a valuable resource. That's why I wanted to share him with you as a gift from me to you. I'm giving Charles to you. So, Charles, is there anything else you want to add, or this was really good conversation? Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much. Next week, we are going to interview. We have an interview with Bill Horan, Realty Exchange Corporation. We will discuss a very hot topic, how to do 1031 exchange and the changes introduced to the system during this pandemic. If you're an investor, I strongly suggest not to miss this interview. Stay tuned and follow us at our Facebook page, My Location Advisor. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye. So we end this, and I'm ending this.